Okay, all right. Good evening and welcome to the North Bend City Council regular session meeting for Tuesday, December 13th here in the council chambers. I'd like to welcome everybody here that's in person or anybody who's watching this being live streamed or at a later date. After calling the meeting to order, I'd like to go ahead and begin with Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Hey, I do see that we have some friends here in our audience. Our neighbors from Coos Bay are here. Did you want to come forward, Mayor Benetti? Yes.
I hope the rest of my council joins me. Anyway, Mayor Engelke and fellow North Bend councilors, we're here tonight to present some cookies that the Coos Bay City Council has made as a Christmas gift to you.
Oh, that is so thoughtful.
Yeah, so we have these and we want to make sure you have them. So you'll bring you.
Yeah.
We all participate.
Did you see the He goes, did you make them or did everybody make them? Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
This is our mic here, right? So there's one rule in the council. Well, there's several rules in the council chambers, but one of them is if you come here, you get a picture with me.
Yeah.
Right. So if you would honor us and taking a photo, and we won't make these guys get down. Maybe we can kind of stand
One
up.
more thing, I want to make a comment. I'm not sure if the rest of the council wants to. I appreciate the working relationship that our communities have, and that our staff and city managers have, and also our councils. And I look forward to a prosperous 2023 for Coos Bay and North Bend.
Thank
you.
Very good.
Oh, thank you.
City of
Well,
North Bend.
yeah.
Emblem in the back here.
Yes, and we'll kind of spread out kind of, I look good, want to come down? Let's go down. I like your attitude there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Well, there you can hold the cookie.
I'm good.
And I also want to take a moment to say that the feeling is mutual. I've been really happy to have a friend with Mayor Benetti who always answers my phone call and likes to do wild adventures with me if we want to go out and support other things in the community. And same goes with the other counselors as well. So we appreciate that relationship and we really look forward to seeing that continue. So thank you.
Yeah. Wonderful.
We just have to.
Yeah.
So.
Okay,
All right. Ready, 1, 2, 3. And we'll smile and on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, say North Bend. Hey, Coos Bay. Isn't this special? I know what they're trying to do. They brought the cookies and fatten you up, so next year you can't move so fast to the supermarket. And all those. That extendo arm from last year, I saw you gave the superintendent of schools some tips.
Yes.
Yeah.
There needs to be an adjustment to the rules. Individual suckers can have.
well, I think we'll go ahead and go through that. Go around and throw our.
Merry Christmas, thank you.
I won't look.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're in the middle of like a respiratory issue.
Uh-oh, jacket.
Did we lose a jacket?
I got a jacket
Yeah.
here.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
I will.
What?
All right, we'll pass these around, counselors. So anyone here want to hold nibble for the meeting?
Sure.
I'm good.
Pass it down.
Good. I'll take one.
There you go.
Dessert, sure.
Oh, well, this is. Okay, I gotta make sure that everybody is taking a look at this. I'm gonna take the Egyptian theater one.
Oh, wow.
That is, in fact, I've never taken a photo with that.
That's
before I eat that.
fantastic.
The Egyptian theater. Okay. I was very, very thought, but she's gonna, yeah. Did they say who maybe?
They said they made it. I don't know.
They made the order.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, as we go ahead and take our seats here, we really are lucky to have such good neighbors and partners. And not only does the city council of Coos Bay and the mayor of Coos Bay try to collaborate with us, but also the city manager, I know, works very closely with our city manager and the assistant city manager. And our Main Street manager is working with the Downtown Association. So it really has been a nice collaboration. We've said all along that we're two different towns with our own special identities, and I don't ever want to lose that. I like to always make that very clear that I love being from North Bend, but also we're one community. And so I think things like this really show that we are. So we appreciate them. All right. Well, moving on the agenda, number 2 tonight, we have some ceremonial items and we have staff recognition. I'll go ahead and ask our police chief to come forward. And it looks like we have Shane Dunning, who is being recognized for his incredible ice skating skills and 15 years of service. I saw the photos. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right.
Well, this is Officer Shane Dunning. Officer Shane Dunning attended the California Post Academy in Northern California and graduated from there and was hired with the Coos County Sheriff's Office in 2004. He worked there for about 3 or 4 years before he was laid off due to budget cuts with the county. He then went to the Bandon Police Department for a short period of time before joining the city of North Bend and North Bend Police Department on December 19th of 2007. While with the North Bend Police Department, Officer Dunning has held many titles within the department to include field training officer, detective, watch commander, defensive tactics instructor, EVOC instructor, as well as held positions with interagency teams on the South Coast Interagency Narcotics team for a period of time, as well as the major crimes team with the county. Officer Dunning is our current community resource officer. And work closely with the homeless transient population in our area. The close relationships that Officer Dunning has been able to build through his career with our community partners, his compassion to assist others, and his ability to relate and talk to anybody in any walk of life, anything. He just holds that trait within himself, and has allowed him to excel in this position. He's only been a short period of time, but the impact that he's made in our community and dealing with that population is just tremendous. Officer Dunning probably served his country in the United States Marine Corps prior to joining law enforcement. He holds his basic, intermediate, and advanced law enforcement certificates through DPSSP. At this time, I just please ask you to join me in congratulating Officer Shane Dunning with 15 years of service with the city of North Bend. And
All right. Well,
what do you got to say?
yeah, I like that.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you.
You do have to take a picture and give a speech, so.
I can whip up a speech if you need.
Yeah, well, we'd love to hear you. A long time. Thank you for your service to our community and to the Marines. I can't think of a better person for the community resource officer, and we're just so thankful. Every time I hear these lengths of service, in the really throughout all of the city positions, to me, it's a testament that you love North Bend and want to stay here. I know there's lots of other places to go, but we're glad you come home here.
And I've got one other just quick story to tell about Shane. Thank you. And I can't remember the exact year, but when I was over in Coos Bay, we had a tragic incident that occurred at John Toppins Park, where a young boy was out swimming and had struggling and ended up drowning. But Shane heard the radio call. He obviously worked for North Bend, heard the radio call from Coos Bay, responded immediately. As soon as he was out of his car, his gear was stripped off and he was in that lake, swam from one side to the far side where the young man had went under the water. And I don't know how many, I'm not saying hours, but he was in there a long time, and he'd come back out, take a breath and back in. We literally had to drag Shane out of the water. He just would not give up. So that's just one of the many stories that I'll tell about Shane.
Well, we're lucky to have you.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
You work with the camera.
In 15 years, it seems like it goes by fast, and I know that's cliche, we hear that all the time. But it really does feel like I just got started in this career, and you know, when I said that 15 years, it was quick, and I'm really happy to be a member here with them. We have been, and you know, I appreciate the people that I work with, and I want to say thank you to all of you for recognizing today.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Picture.
First you want to send the picture, now you don't want them.
The only reason I wanted to sit over there. You know how you see some of these like photo bomb photos,
Yeah.
you know, and so when we send this to the newspaper and then you see Pat like back there, like. Thank you.
You thought.
Okay, all right, those are always fun to see the recognition. Number 3 on the agenda tonight is the consent calendar. We went through this last night in detail during the work session.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
I have something I want to pull off from the.
okay, what item would that be?
That would be the. Let's see here. Number G, the approval of the traffic committee recommendation as recommended actions.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar minus item G?
I move to accept the consent calendar minus G.
Okay. I hear a first from Counselor Jones, a second from Counselor Garboden. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the consent calendar minus item G, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. City Administrator, will we be moving item G to other business, or how did you want to proceed?
Per your council rules, you would actually address it at this time, as
Okay.
long as there's no conflicts of interest. If there are, we'll simply disclose those, but it would be handled at this time.
Okay, to the counselors, then, is there any conflicts of interest with item G? Okay, so Counselor Nordoff, you have a question about the item G. We'll go ahead and start.
Madam Mayor,
Oh, yes, sorry.
you'd need to actually entertain a first and second before you could enter discussion.
Okay, do I have a first to enter into discussion for item G?
Excuse me, where does it say that in the council rules?
You are doing an approval, so this would be an action item. So you've removed it for action. So you have to have a first and second before you can go to discussion on an action item. That's
Well,
Robert's Rules of Order. You're
okay.
more than welcome
That's
to go to
Yeah.
your city attorney, who's your parliamentarian.
City Attorney, did you want to make a comment on this, or can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I am here. And Counselor Nordoff, if you had a motion that would address your concerns, that might be an appropriate way to get this under discussion.
Am I allowed to make a comment instead of a motion? I don't have a motion. I have a comment.
Well, so to our city attorney, we removed item G from the consent calendar. And so we are looking at moving forward with how to proceed with
Oh,
that
that's
item.
right. We have to approve okay,
We-
I'm clear.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the traffic committee recommendations as they are presently read. You'll understand, just give me a moment. So we're approving them. My comment is that,
Well, hold on here.
Second.
Hold on for a
Yes,
second.
good
We have a
second.
first
Yep.
from Counselor Nordoff. We have a second from Counselor Gleason. And now we can have discussion about item G, which is
yes,
approval of
And I-
traffic committee recommendations.
yes, ma'am. So I do not have any problem with anything that is listed in the traffic committee recommendations. My concern is that and it's my understanding there should be two more items there, that one of them is that the collector bypass was tabled. And I was expecting that it would come back for discussion at the next meeting. So if that whole thing was tabled, we don't. And so it had been discussed at a prior traffic committee meeting. It had been discussed by the council. The decision was to table it and come back to it. That is missing. The other thing that is missing is Thea Handgard, who's someone I know from the community. And she lives, her property, her house, which is now in escrow, is at the corner of Ohio and Stanton, up by the Lutheran church up at the top of the hill. And she was led to believe that her request to remove the no parking sign in front of her property would be dealt with in this next traffic committee meeting. And then she didn't hear back from Ralph and she got upset. She will be selling the property to the young couple who are currently the caretakers of Camp Myrtlewood. The wife works at BLM and she's been making the commute. And anyway, she would appreciate it if the traffic committee had reviewed her concerns on the no parking in front of her house. The neighbor constantly calls and threatened to call the police when the realtor was there showing the house. So she would like to have this dealt with, and she thought it would be heard in this traffic committee report, and it has not been. And so I'm asking the question as to when will this be heard? And she was told that it would be heard at this traffic committee.
Okay,
Meeting.
perfect. Thank you for your comment. So
Okay,
I'm going to go to our city administrator and public works director. What I heard last night is you have meetings about every couple months. So just because those items weren't on that meeting isn't that, it's not that they're not going to be up for further discussion. So if I understand Counselor Nordoff correctly, she doesn't have any issues with item G, but it sounds like she has other traffic concerns. So going back to our rules here.
I had told Dave we put it on
Okay,
this particular item, I didn't profit, that's my fault.
Okay.
So that's
so
collector bypass, I'm not, I'd have to go back and read the.
so when, yeah.
I'd have to see it with the first back to the traffic.
so again, no issue at hand with item G, but if the citizens have questions about the further traffic concerns, is it still going through the process there? I'm trying to figure out if this is the format to do this in.
It would be put before the next traffic committee meeting. We can hold one because we were about 6 months between, mainly because of people's schedules, which may be a tough again around the holidays. We can hold one sooner. The request was to remove the no parking signs that have been there since before my time.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say when they went in. Well,
So, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead then and,
there's no parking signs across the street that are new. The ones that were directly in front of her house were prior to my coming in 2018.
all right. So thank you for your comments on that. So for tonight, so we had we had the motion, which was accepting the traffic committee's findings as presented. And then we'll address those concerns at a later point. I don't know if I need to change the wording on any of that, but that was the motion, is that Councilor Nordoff says she doesn't have any issues with the current item G. So I had a first from her, a second from Counselor Gleason. We've had our discussion, so I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion on the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And it sounds like our Public Works Director is going to have some follow-up with the citizen concerns.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so that was the consent calendar. And that takes us to, let's see here. Public comment, which is number 4. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment this evening? Two people, there's yeah. See one? You said there's 2?
There was two.
Ah.
Together.
To the city recorder, I see Ken Falker. Make sure I'm not sitting on anything. Eric, you?
Pretty sure you had one from Greg Brown.
Oh, it got
Madam Mayor.
caught up in my packet here. And the second one, so these are the 2 that are in person and nobody online? Okay, all right. Let me go ahead here then. Just want to say before we begin that we thank everybody for participating in public comment this evening. The public comment period is an essential part of local government meetings. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. Our governing body takes the input into consideration. However, in observance of Oregon open meeting laws, this isn't a time for dialogue, but rather a time for us to listen to you. Our city administrator and our city recorder are taking notes of any action that is needed. So that is, we like to always explain that. So we see why that there's not a back and forth during that time. And we'll go ahead and Mr. Ken, would you like to come forward to give your public comment? And we did move the mic, and I know it's a little bit hard to hear sometimes with people online. So if you want to try to pull a little bit forward, there you go.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to say congratulations to the new councilor members and to those who were re-elected. And second, I want to thank the police department, the hospitals, the doctors, and fire department and everybody else. And thank you all for all the work that you do to help the city. And second of all, I want to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you very much. And the same to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all right. And so then the Browns, we're going to be speaking each separately. Yeah, I have Mr. and Mrs. Brown from North Bend. And is Thea part of this group as well?
Yeah.
Okay, on a separate comment?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll have our city recorder
came-
start the time when you begin. Yeah, thank
I
you.
came a couple years ago and addressed the parking issue because we live on the same stretch of road, which is a little narrow little road. And at the time that I was speaking, they said they'd readdress it and nothing has happened since then. But then I have 100 years of history on that road. Parking has never been a problem. It's never had no parking on either side of the street. And now I already talked. So
Yeah, we've never had any problem with parking on the street till this. Chuck Erickson moved in there and he's caused nothing but problem. I've talked to the city inspector and everyone with the road crew, North Bend police, everybody I've talked to, they've had nothing but problems with Chuck. And so they're gonna come out. You know, if they took and put no parking signs on every little gravel road in town, it'd cost a hell of a lot of money. And they put them there, one right across from our house. No one parks there. It's a street. It's wide enough for a car to
One
get
car.
through. So the city guys from the city told me it costs $400 a sign to have those signs put up. And there was no need to have them put up. But anytime Chuck calls and wants anything done, it's like they just bow down to it. So, with Thea, police come out and give her parking tickets for parking her cars sticking out of her driveway a little bit. And that's the widest part of the road there. And they come and give her parking tickets that one. And I think there's a hell of a lot more important things they could be doing. So, anyway.
All right, well, thank you for your comments.
Yep.
I know our city administrator will reach out. Yeah. Okay. And Thea, were you making a separate public comment?
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll, once you begin seating, the microphone is right there and our city recorder will go ahead and start the time.
brought some documentation for you all to do that. I apologize for the quality of the pictures. But I've lived at 2715 Stanton for 10 years. And ever since the day I moved in, I've had problems with Chuck. This is the police records. He's called police on me 33 times regarding parking, and of the 33, 29, I never received any citations. The police just asked me, please don't block his driveway. I never blocked his driveway. He has a U-shaped driveway. He can get in either direction. He does it just to harass me. And I've gotten upset at the officers because it's been so many times they've come, and now they're giving me tickets for sticking out 6 feet on my driveway. Looking at the documentation, the pictures are of my vehicles in Stanton Street. And you can see that where I park my truck, it's 14.5 feet to the other side of the road. Plenty of room for any vehicles to get by. I have never had any complaints from garbage, fire, ambulance. I had an RV parked there for a while and the police told me to move it and I moved it. Apparently it was an issue and I didn't know that. Okay, so where Chuck Erickson has his landscaping coming out on the road, I think it's only about 10 feet right there. It's actually wider where I park than where he has his landscaping. So I find it very discriminatory that, you know, I'm being picked on for this reason. And he actually, I had Century 21 Realtor come out and show my house to a buyer. He came out and told the realtor and the buyer that you can't park there. I'm going to call the police. And he told the buyer, you're not going to ever be able to park there. I don't know why you're buying this home. I almost lost the sale of my house because of this man. Okay. And I don't, this is a nice couple that's moving into the house. They don't deserve the harassment. He has made 3 other people who lived in my house move because of his harassment. And it just needs to stop. And by taking away that no parking sign, you'll be taking power out of his hands to harass our neighbors. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. And we will make sure that our staff has all of the copies of these, enter them in. Okay, and I believe that was it then for public comment, correct? Okay. That takes us to number 5 on the agenda, which is appeal of the city council imposed fine for 3112 Pine Street. This is on page 41 of the packet. Mr. City Administrator, how did you want to proceed here?
This is an appeal of the financial fines. The governing body previously had made a negotiation with the property owner to come within compliance and abate the fines within 7 days and significantly reduce them. They were done so. At this time, they are in compliance. However, they're asking for an additional grace, if you will, from the governing body. So it is really up to you whether or not to maintain the existing fines as set by the previous governing body, or do away with them, or anything in between. You also have the authority to raise them, but I wouldn't encourage that. The original was 24.4. There was a negotiated agreement to $175 per day for $6,825. And the city's cost, legal otherwise, is estimated to be approximately $1,200 for this particular go round. We do have additional costs for previous, but at this time, this is pertinent to this notice of violation.
Okay,
I move to uphold our previous decision regarding the $175 a day fine.
Okay, so Counselor Gleason is stating that you you're moving to
I
uphold.
move that we uphold our current decision to have the $175 a day or $6,825 fine.
And that
upheld.
that total was 6,000.
$6,825.
Okay, so I heard from Counselor Gleason.
I'll second that.
Is that, okay, so is that a motion that you're making? Okay, so I heard a motion from Counselor Gleason. I have a second from Counselor Gall. Is there, so now we'll go ahead and move into discussion.
Okay, so let me explain my reason.
Okay.
I think that the last time we had this discussion and we went over all of the things that had happened, we set the guidelines for the 7 days. And I don't care that they went past the 7 days. They had circumstances that put themselves outside of that, but they got it done, right? The 17 years, and to use a holiday term, of having Cousin Eddie parked in your parking lot. So you had this eyesore for a very long time that had a long history of work and people asking, and the city being part of this. We reduced that very large sum of $500 a day down to $175. So I feel like at this point, they did what they were asked to do. We made that motion on the stipulation that they got it done within a certain time frame. It got done. That's all we care about. And but I think that based on the long history and the situation, that upholding that $6,825 is reasonable. We reduced it a significant amount. Something I think needs to stand, in my opinion. And again, that's just my reason behind it.
Okay. Would any other counselor like to make a
Some
comment or
questions.
Okay,
Yeah.
questions, we'll take questions.
Because I think all of us value the freedom someone has to do what they want with their property on the one hand. What I would like to know is, what are a few, you don't have to go into the whole thing, what are a few of the practical reasons why we need all community members to comply with the city codes? And what are the driving reasons in this case? You know, is it vermin, or I mean, is it just unsightly, or is it because it attracts vermin or fire, or, you know, what kind of hazards does this particular case bring into?
Sure. So we'll ask our public works director, since compliance falls under there, and we'll also ask our police chief to come up because it is also in Hannum. And I'm going to ask our fire chief to also come up because it's also impeded there. And lastly, I'm going to ask our street superintendent to also come up, and you're going to hear from all four.
Yeah, do you want to?
Oh, I have a chair right here.
They're there.
The initial hearing was to ask council to declare this as a public nuisance, and there has been, the police have dealt with unregistered vehicles in a separate issue. And as far as unlicensed, uninsured, unregistered vehicles, that's a separate issue that was dealt separately. The fire department also has dealt with fire hazard questions separately and dealt with that. What this specifically was originated from was asking council to declare it a nuisance for a couple reasons. Dismantled vehicles and vehicle parts unsecured, where the general public, we received multiple complaints about this property. Not just one or two. You see my head giving you a list of some of the complaints. That's what came into public works as a nuisance. That isn't necessarily fire complaints. That is not necessarily complaints about vehicles parked on the street and parking violations. That was specifically about a nuisance complaint. So we have in our ordinance a dismantled vehicle ordinance, which that means if any fenders are off, the hoods are open, they're working on the cars outside. They're supposed to have that in a structure or fully screened so the public can't access it. That's children. You know, people shouldn't be entering their property anyway, but children, other people, that dog gets in their yard,
Somebody's got to get their dog.
Got it.
Lots of auto parts, lots of, and if you saw the rear yard, my best description is it looked like somebody had a small junkyard back there. And I'm not picking on it. Junkyards have their place, not in a residential district, but junkyards have their place.
Okay. No,
That's
great.
really what the complaint from the Public Works end was based on.
No, that's great.
Unsecured hazards. It wasn't necessarily, car parts don't really a rodent attractant.
Okay,
It was basically unsecured hazards.
okay.
Now, if I may, so this is where I'll have a little grace, because the global question isn't as much specific to this property. It's more specific to code enforcement and
Yes.
things. So Chief, you have now code compliance in your area. Why is it that you have a code compliance officer, and what is the net effect to the community in the impact on the police department and vice versa?
Well, a lot of it comes down to neighborhood livability. Issues as well as safety. We all know we all have kids and grandchildren, and when they're out playing and stuff, you know, the attractive nuisance part of it, or, you know, kids that get on that piece of property and get injured. They don't necessarily, you know, in this particular incident, didn't necessarily have to get onto the property, but the vehicles were, you know, dismantled and whatnot right off the street when we first started working on it. We, with the new ordinance, we were able to address a lot of those quickly, to where in the past, it was just a continuous thing where we would go out there and take the vehicle for tow, and it would be moved from, you know, off of Pine onto the next cross street. So it would meet that particular what our ordinance read at that point. So then again, we would have to start that process over again, just to get those vehicles off of the street where other neighbors could use that, and other citizens could use that particular portion of the street. With the codes compliance that we have now, there's several properties around the city that my codes compliant officer is looking at and working with the property owners to clean up in similar situations. And like Public Works Director Dunham stated, you know, we're not there to fine and punish people. We just need compliance to
Yes.
follow those particular ordinances. And a lot of times we do get compliance, but you know, some of the times that it takes the fines and whatnot to get the action that we get.
Thank you.
Our Chief Brown?
Specifically on the fire side, it's listed in the codes that if a property produces a hazardous condition that can affect their neighbors with fire, that's specifically where it falls into that. And it's the way we kind of have a clearinghouse now of complaints that come in, the concerns, it'll come in, it'll come to our code of compliance, and then if it specifically deals with the fire, they'll forward it on to us, and then be sure it is an issue, and then we'll communicate and take care of it that way. And it's a pretty good system the way it is set up now for concerns.
Then we have Albert, who's an institution here at the city of North Bend. He is our streets division foreman. And often, Albert, you have right-of-way maintenance and then also street obstructions. So from a code enforcement standpoint, how does that affect you and your team and their ability to do their job at the city of North Bend?
Well, especially with the street maintenance part of it. Yeah, sweep it. It damages pavement because you can't get in there and clean anything. Flow, water flow.
And last, I'll add this. At the end of the day, it comes down to livability and home sale prices and quality of life. You see from these photos, it's known that if you put in, say, a dog park or any other amenity within usually no less than a 1/10 of a square mile around that, it increases your property values. Items like this decrease your property value. And we're not talking the taxability, we're talking the fair market value that at arm's length someone will pay. Because who on the dais wants to live next to a house when you're looking out the window onto what potentially will look like a junkyard. I doubt you put your house next to an industrial area. So those really are why you have codes. It's quality of life and living and standards. And you as a governing body set those codes. They're your codes, we enforce them. And so this wasn't orchestrated. You asked a question and I wanted to make sure that you got an answer, and we'll make sure that the new council members get as much information and so that then it doesn't get repetitive down the road. And so thank you, gentlemen, for answering. Did that answer all of your questions?
Yeah, or.
Do you have others?
What I heard, yeah, I do. I have
Okay,
two more,
please.
But what I'm hearing is that there's a combination of the sort of high risk things around fire or around public safety where the police involved, and then there are lower risk where the city can't do their maintenance on our roads or the sort of shared portions of that. And then there's a piece that research shows over and over again that when there's too much stuff in someone's yard, the adjacent properties or the ones in the immediate area suffer from lower prices. So this is what I'm hearing from you gentlemen. I just want to make sure I'm hearing that correctly. Okay, so that's great. Thank you. The second question is, are fines at this level, for this appeal level, are fines really the only tool we have to compel neighbors? I heard yesterday that you can ask some people comply once they get a letter, but the fines are what we use to really compel, and that draws a lot of people in. Is that correct?
That's the only leverage you got.
Yeah, that's the only leverage. Okay.
So Ralph?
Okay.
Basically, the fines are our third step. I guess it's showing we're serious.
Yes.
That's in a lot of cases. As I mentioned in my email that I believe all of you received, typically we give somebody 30 to 45 days. Well, we're complaint driven. This is not, none of the projects or issues related to 3112 were generated by city staff, to my knowledge. I don't know back when I wasn't here, but since I have been here, it's not been here. So we're complaint driven based on neighbors, in general public. We go out and we take a look. We send, if it isn't a violation of our ordinance, we may just send them an information letter. Somebody complained about it, and we have no. But
the notification can be about.
But when there is a nuisance or that meets parts of our ordinance, we notify them. Usually we notify them of multiple items if there's multiple items in our code. And we ask that they comply. We give them 30 to 45 days. If there's some action and they contact us, we stay in touch with them and try to work with them through its complete. If there's no action, we send them a second notice, typically giving them 10 to 15 days to comply with this. Or if there's multiple items and you get one done, we'll follow up with a second letter. This was addressed in 2021. I'd have to look back. I don't believe we imposed a fine, or at that point, we just declared it a nuisance and worked with them. There was some work done on it, but nowhere near compliance. We start getting complaints again. It's going back to where it was, and possibly even further. I'm not going to comment directly on that because we've had multiple people look at it. So we get the complaints. We have different people go out and look at it. We have a new code compliance officer. Derek Payne looks at them. I potentially look at them. When we do this and we go through the second round, I'm going to say from the public works and the code compliance, which is land use code, fines are kind of our last resort and step. Bringing it before you, imposing fines, it seems to get their attention when we start imposing fines.
Yes.
And part of those fines are if we have to go in and clean it up ourselves.
Mhm.
Basically, that's what we ask the council This is a new council. We asked the council before to be able to abate it ourselves because we weren't getting compliance and we were finding them already at that point. But our next step would have been, had they said we're not going to do anything, was actually physically have council just declare it a nuisance, and we would have hired a contractor to go in there and clean it up under our direction and charge the property with those costs.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Well, point of order. So we've exceeded our individual council 5-minute rule. So the council will have to decide whether or not to grant the counselor additional time. And that is an option. I believe that it can be extended. I'd have checked council rules, but I think in increments of 15 minutes, but Mark can check that. But that
Okay.
has to be the will of council.
Okay, so we do have rules on just to make sure that it's fair for everybody. In fact, before I go back to you, I'll see if there's any other counselors that have questions. And there's no other further questions from the counselor. Then I will go ahead and extend one more question if it's a short one.
It is.
Okay.
Can these fines cause this family to lose their home? Or if not, what is the impact of these fines if they go on?
So these are not tax liens. These are financial liens. It cannot affect the house to go to the courthouse steps as taxes would. This means that there is a lien on that property, and that lien can be settled at any time, but most certainly will be settled if that property ever is to change hands.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, that answered your question, Sarah. All right, well, we have a first and second on the table. We have had our discussion.
Thank you, gentlemen.
What,
Thank you, Jen.
so I'll go ahead and call the question. And again, to remind everybody what the motion was to uphold the previous decision, which was a reduction from the approximately 24,000 to the 6,800 and some change. That reduction to the motion is to uphold that previous decision. So all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you. Okay, let's see. We're going to go ahead and go to the next agenda item, which is number 6. And that is relief from grade establishments, authorization for 400 block of Commercial Avenue in North Bend between Donnelly and Stanton Avenues. This was discussed last night in the work session. There's a suggested motion on page 46 of your packet. What is the will of the council?
Move to approve a variance from the requirement to establish grade for the 400 block of Commercial Avenue.
Second.
All right, I heard a first from Counselor Gleason. I was looking that way. So a second from Counselor Schultz. Any discussion? All in favor of the staff recommendation to approve the variance from the requirement to establish grade for the 400 block of Commercial Avenue, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 7 on the agenda was the National Fitness Campaign Fitness Court and Studio. We had a great presentation last night from our new aquatics director. Page 49 is was the suggested motion. We had pictures, we have video. And what is the will of the council on this agenda item?
Move to accept $30,000 National Fitness Campaign grant and authorize city administrator to move forward with purchase of fitness court and studio using ARPA funds not to exceed $165,000.
I heard a first from Counselor Gleason,
Second.
a second from Counselor Nordoff. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor. At your dais, you should have a copy of, this is Albany, Georgia. This is exactly what we're looking to acquire. This was just recently unveiled and had a ribbon cutting in October, but it has a very good photo in it so that you can see what it would look like. And then we are exploring, of course, several other additional options because that will not take up the entire concrete area out there. So we are in discussions, for instance, as a potential pickleball court and otherwise. So we are still exploring some of the other options.
And so, but at this point, this is what is before you. But I just wanted to give you a local option, for instance, of, and then I did verify that the app is indeed free. I actually have it on my phone, and I was amazed at how in-depth it is myself. And I went through it since last night's meeting.
I think it's cool. As anybody who knows how big I am into fitness, I will sit and watch other people work out. I am super excited about it.
Well, and I think you touched on something that's really up and coming on this pickleball thing. You know, you go by the lower tennis courts or the junior high, and there's pickleballers out there. And it's something that us old people could get into it at the right time. So yeah, I think touching on that subject is, it would be a great hub to have a pickleball court or two in there. So I'm, yeah.
Well, as the city administrator mentioned last night, there was, it was always plans, there was plans for that slab to be developed into additional fitness. So it's nice to see this come to fruition. I would even challenge, especially after the Coos Bay City Councilor brought us cookies tonight, that I see a pickleball and fitness team you can watch.
Well, I didn't know if I was pickleball age yet. I feel like.
Oh. Okay, well, we're just gonna go.
Wait till you're pickled?
What is it?
This is, but this is, could be a great addition. So, all right, any further comments or questions? Then I had a first and a second, and we had our discussion. So all in favor with the motion to accept $30,000 in National Fitness Campaign grant and authorize the city administrator to move forward with the purchase of fitness court and studio using ARPA funds not to exceed $165,000, please say aye. Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. All right. Number 8 on the agenda tonight is we have a PowerPoint presentation from our Main Street program and urban renewal agency. I see Miss Stephanie Wilson coming forward.
Madam Mayor and Council, I want to preface this presentation by saying that Ms. Wilson, Stephanie, has been with the city now for 6 months. She has hit her 6-month anniversary, and Stephanie is everywhere. We have been so blessed to have her here at the city, and I want her to actually come and make a special presentation at this meeting because we know it's the highest watched meeting. And so we're excited to have her here. And so take it away, Steph.
Hello, Madam Mayor and Council. I am very excited to say I've been with the city of North Bend for 6 months. And as I sat down to prepare this, I realized how busy we really have been. So just as a reminder, I am the executive director for the Main Street Board. However, my position is Main Street Manager for the city of North Bend, and that encompasses urban renewal agency as well as the Visitor Information Center and anything tourism related. So as I go through this PowerPoint, I'm going to touch on a little bit of all 3 of those points. Not everything the Main Street program has done. A lot of it has been that I will cover has been done by the Urban Renewal Agency, which is your governing body as well. And I want to highlight on that because that should use some recognition because there's some amazing projects that have been completed. Also, I would like to welcome our new counselors and take this time to share with you a little bit about our program. So North Bend Main Street, we are working together for a better North Bend. And I'm going to start by sharing our North Bend Main Street Board of Directors. From left to right, we have Steve Nye from Ingalls Furniture, Vice President Barb Dunham with Travel Southern Oregon Coast. We have Executive Director, myself, and owner of Painted Zebra. Board member Janet McCrae, retired from Cookies with Janet, also family owns North Bend Auto Care. We have Secretary Tara Moore from Wildflower Public House, the newly expanded restaurant right down on Sherman Avenue. We have the treasurer, Kristen Carell from Jewel and CD Mason Insurance Agency, and board member Derek Ton, who has joined us from Minnesota. So he is with the SBDC out at the college, and he is a great piece of a new look into North Bend. So it's always great to get his opinions on things as well. I wanted to share with you our North Bend Main Street boundary map. When the city moved forward with applying to resurface our Main Street program with Oregon Main Street, they applied a map, and the state is actually the one who determines the map. Oregon Main Street really focuses on smaller primary focus areas and walkability in the historic downtown district. So this is a map that is determined by the state level. We do, however, anytime that there is opportunity, include all of North Bend businesses in our events and promotions. So Main Street America has been helping revitalize older and historic commercial districts for more than 35 years. Oregon Main Street helps communities participating in the Main Street program to make use of the Main Street 4-point approach to revitalize and develop downtown districts. And I'm going to go through how each of those apply to North Bend throughout this PowerPoint. Economic development, design, organization, and promotion are the 4 key points. So design is creating accessible public spaces and inviting environment, enhancing physical and visual assets. So I would like to start off with recognizing the Liberty Theater and the accomplishments that it has acquired and done and achieved over so many years. It has received multiple funding opportunities from the Urban Renewal Agency, and this year was the recipient of the Main Street Revitalization Grant. This is a match grant for up to $200,000 with a 3-year opportunity to complete those projects. With those funds, they will be, they have actually already completed concrete repairs. They have ordered a new flame retardant stage curtain, and they are in the process of having designed and built a new to replace the previous 24-foot neon blade sign. So we will be one of the only cities, I believe, that will have neon at the beginning of our city and the end of our city.
You can put them on the next cookie.
So the Oregon Economic Development Association conference that was held at the casino in October was very exciting because the theater actually receives the Urban Renewal Project of the Year, which is a huge accomplishment amongst Oregon. So we're very proud of that. And we presented that to the Liberty Theater board here at Council Chambers. I wanted to point out the Opry. It's one of many productions that they hold at the Liberty Theater. And one of my most favorite interactions with that is our Christmas festival we had on December 3rd. I received an email a couple days ago. It's a family from Garibaldi, which is, I believe, over 3 hours away. They were in town visiting and they attended the Christmas Opry and wrote to me to get on an email list at the theater because they want to come to North Bend as their Christmas tradition for many years to come. So that's very exciting. Back in July, I presented the council with an existing project that was done before my hire to ask for funding for a new North Bend welcome sign. This is an additional build on to the existing boat hole at the southern entrance of North Bend, and that I wanted to give you an update on is to be completed early of this next year. We announced 2 different phases of property purchase for our new visitor information center. This is very exciting. This has been a goal of the city for a very long time to get our visitor information center right downtown and more visibly and easily accessible for our visitors and to create a town square hub for upcoming events and community involvement. So that's very exciting, and new development on that will be released after the beginning of the year. Another Urban Renewal Agency council goal that we had budgeted for was new Christmas decorations. I presented the council with this back in October and moved forward with the purchase. They were installed. Our streets team did amazing. Parks, everyone came together for this, and the new decorations are wonderful. This will give us the opportunity to take existing decorations and spread them throughout the city and decorate further going up and down 101 north and south. Okay, organization is cultivating partnerships, community involvement, and resources for the district. I want to kind of go through some of our community members, organizations, and nonprofits that we've been teaming up with. As mentioned previously, the executive director for the Coos Bay Downtown Association, which also works a Main Street program, named Holly Boardman, and I have collaborated when we can and gone to conferences and business builder classes from the chamber. This is a little slideshow to show some of the businesses and organizations that have been partnered up with us during our community events downtown. We had our trunk or treat, which invited businesses throughout North Bend to participate. And then most recently in December at our Christmas festival, the Pony Village Mall donated poinsettias to help with decorations, and those were redonated to the Ocean Ridge Assisted Living Home. We also have here some chamber ambassadors as well as some young volunteers from our community at our most recent Christmas event. We did feature a couple nonprofits at our Christmas event recently. Like I said, anytime we can involve the rest of the community, we are open to doing that. We also make sure that those royalty individuals who are required to have a certain amount of volunteer hours for their title get involved as much as they can with our programs and our events. We also want to touch on Energy Trust of Oregon approached the city of North Bend with a project to offer free lighting upgrade to the businesses with under 20,000 square feet and under 20 employees at their facilities. And back in September-ish, I hit the streets with these two individuals from Energy Trust, and we were able to provide 32 businesses with new LED lighting upgrades for their businesses. And then we expanded it to the rest of the North Bend. So I believe that's still currently open for anyone who's interested. It's on our website. Okay, economic vitality, the financial tools to assist new and existing businesses in financial growth. And this is where I really want to talk about the Urban Renewal Agency, because this really gives opportunity to businesses who are starting out or wanting to expand. And so I just want to feature some of the projects that have been completed since I've been on board with the city. The first is 2051 Sherman Avenue. The owners completed this and brought it back to the original state from when it was the gown shop in the 50s. And then a new business, Dream Again Thrift Emporium, which is ran by the Devereaux Center, opened up a new business with retail downtown. So that not only upgraded the building, but it also gave opportunity to a new business. 1987 Sherman Avenue, Wildflower Public House started as a catering business, moved to a cafe, and then expanded into this double-sized unit and did the facade grant and opened in July of this year. And if you have not eaten there, it is amazing. So I just wanted to show that as another completed project this year. The North Bend Ice Rink, there's been a lot of talk about this. This was approved back before I came on board, but I wanted to just give some information on it. We had a soft opening during our Christmas festival on December 3rd, and there was hundreds of people. I mean, the line was nonstop. Before we opened at 11, they were down the street. They were excited. We do rent the skates for $5. However, if you bring your own ice skating skates, then you have no charge. And there are people who have brought their own. There's more in North Bend than I realized would own ice skates, but they do work just great on the ice skating rink. So people have no problem with that. We do have the Sis polar bear bars that were mentioned earlier as well. Just like to mention that this was paid with TLT funds, also known as the tourism tax dollar. And we did receive a $30,000 grant from TSOC for the cover of this facility. The ice skating rink is such a great asset for our locals to use, as well as a draw for tourism. And I want to point out the picture on the left. I went and helped open the ice skating rink this last week, and this family came in. They're from San Francisco and they travel for a living. And they were shopping at a local small business, and they said, "What is there to do around here?" And the business said, "Well, you should check out the ice skating rink." So they went up there. They couldn't believe it was only $5 to rent skates. They posted it all over their social media. They said they're going to come back. They were excited. So that right there to me is just like the full circle of how this can impact our community with tourists who are visiting. We also want to point out that we'll be releasing soon some information on how you can privately rent the skating rink for parties. And we do have some planned theme nights as well. So really bringing the community together using this facility. This is like a little sneak peek into a program that the Main Street Board has created. It's Shop Snap Share, and we'll be starting this in January to help drive foot traffic to our small businesses throughout North Bend and really tap on that economic vitality. Okay, promotion. I'm going to whip through this one really quick because we've done a lot in 6 months and I know we're limited on time, but featuring downtown district as a center of the community and hub for economic vitality and activity. So our first promotion that we did as a Main Street board was bring back the North Bend Sip and Stroll. This was created way back when we had our North Bend Downtown Association back in 2009 to 15. And then it went dormant for a while. The Liberty picked it up, and then it went dormant again during the pandemic. And then the Main Street board just recently brought it back. It was amazing. We even brought in businesses from throughout North Bend who wanted to participate, teamed them up with downtown. And I think we had about 350 people attend. And we will be releasing dates for our 2023 Sip and Stroll in January. We did create a new event called the North Bend Candy Crawl. North Bend has never done a Halloween event like this, and we didn't know what to expect. We were overturned by children that day. We got really lucky with the weather, and I think our numbers came in at 600 kids plus their families. So we started at Grant Circle down here with visiting businesses. Our city departments got involved, and we did a trunk or treat, and then moved to downtown business to business, and ended with a movie at the Liberty Theater, which was fantastic because there was about 65 to 70 people who had never been in a theater before, and they came in just because of the movie. So that generated foot traffic to the theater. Okay, so this one has quite a few slides, so I'm going to try to go through this quick. I know it's fresh on our mind because we just did this. So in case any of you were not able to attend our North Bend Christmas Festival, it was out of control. it was so amazing. I mean, talk about community spirit and coming together. It was just fabulous. Every single department in the city worked so hard for this. Community members, businesses, everything. So I'm just going to go through these slides and just share with you what all we did.
We're in this.
Okay.
So take your, I don't know about you guys, but like.
Yeah, so
Take your time.
And so Elf on the Shelf is a promotion that the Main Street Board created, and we did purchase 30 elves, so we have them for next year. So expect to see these little critters all over the city. So this is a way to get creativity flowing for the businesses. They each got an elf, and they got to display it kind of according to their business and what they represent. People went in, looked for the elf. If they found it, they got to sign up for a giveaway, which included free ice skating tickets. So we actually just concluded all of our drawings, and we'll be announcing those 26 winners tomorrow. So we started the day with Waffles with Santa at the North End Fire Station, and that was really amazing. We had the Miss Flame Court there helping hand out books that was provided by the library. We had Santa, waffles, all the toppings you could think of. Amazing volunteers helping that program going. It was great. We had roughly around 400 people that attended. Then we moved over to the North Bend Library, and we had the most amazing Mrs. Claus ever. She may be sitting in this room, but for the children's sake, I will not disclose her name. But she did fabulous. She read to the children. The library staff did a sing-along. There was roughly 200 people who attended that event. And they made reindeer food as well as letters to Santa. So then we moved to our holiday block party, which was right down here at our new property on corner of Sherman and California. And we had a large festival tent. We had award-winning Chris Foltz was ice carving. We had face painting. We had a petting zoo with goats, ponies, and even a little baby calf. We had dance performance from the North Bend Middle School. We also had Christmas caroling and fire truck rides from the North Bend Fire Department. And then we had our Christmas tree lighting with Santa and the mayor. And this was the first time that the tree has been moved from Broadway. So tried something new, but it was really fantastic to have such a large area to have the community surround the tree. We had the road blocked off, and it was just an amazing moment. If you were there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then we ended the night with the lighted truck parade, which the vehicles got decorated at Pony Village Mall, made their way over to the staging area, and then they went through the July Jubilee route. And we actually had them go through twice this year, which was really exciting since we weren't dealing with the permitting with ODOT and the state highway. We were able to take our time going through twice. So that was another benefit to moving the parade route. I wanted to give you a couple more slides to end this PowerPoint with as a reminder of what the Urban Renewal Agency can do and what it can provide for structures in downtown. This is the Liberty Theater in 2011. And this is it now. So this is after, I believe, 4 phases with urban renewal. And then once we have that lighted neon sign, it's just gonna really bring it back to what it was back in the day. So we're really excited about that. This is the historic Oddfellows building back in 2011. In 2013, the building owner did receive an urban renewal facade grant, and the city also completed its streetscapes project. So this is the building now. So it really shows with some dedication and funding assistance and vision, how much it can really change the look. And the North End mural was provided by the owners of the Wildflower Public House. So I'd like to point that out. And I want to end with saying that I've lived in North Bend for over 20 years. And I know I've only been with the city for 6 months, but I could not be more proud to be a part of this city and see what we can all do as coming together, and because together we can and will make a difference. So that's everything. I did that quick.
I would like everybody to join me in giving her a standing ovation.
Oh gosh. Oh, thank you. Here it is next. Oh. Wow. Thank you.
And to the city administrator for, believing in the Main Street program and having the vision and hiring you.
No, well, thank you for letting me be a part of it.
I don't know what to say. That is amazing. Does the council have any questions?
That was a lot.
It's just nice to see all that's been pulled off down there. It's really cool. I actually like the tree.
Oh, the trees in the it's perfect.
That's
spot.
great.
I mean, when it all works at the same time, it looks awesome.
Mhm.
It's
It's supposed to be like that.
okay.
It gets a long out sometimes,
It
but
is a really neat, I mean, that whole thing you guys pulled off, and I was out of town, so I didn't get to come, but just seeing the pictures of all of those faces and smiles and stuff, it's so cool. that
Darn.
doing this.
We bought all those candy canes just for his kids.
What?
I know where the
Box
stash is.
something. We wanted to make up for last year.
Oh, shucks.
I don't think I could even read you the text messages and the emails that I got without like crying, because it was so I had family saying like, their son said it was like the best day ever. And this was like over and over again. People were saying it was like unrecognizable, like the holiday event. It was like unrecognizable. I felt like I was in a different town, and the energy and really, I would say like all of your events have been like that too. Like from the wine walk to the candy crawl and the Christmas event. It's just, Councilor Nordoff.
I'm so delighted how the ice skating rink turned out. I think that was the lot that we got with the courthouse.
It's the free lot.
Yeah.
That would just be so perfect for putting the ice skating rink. And it just looks fabulous.
Mhm.
And I'm really glad that people are enthused about it.
Well, and seeing the people from out of town that are coming
that's
here,
right.
it's like, if you really, the whole economic wheel is turning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just great. So we can't wait to see what's next. I
Yeah.
can see things are turning in your,
I don't sleep.
I really can't wait to hear what's going to be happening the St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Well, we, like I said, we have a lot of things planned. We have a lot of strategic planning to work on. We have an amazing board. The city departments, I tell you, between the ice skating rink, all these events would not be possible. You can have one person with an idea, but it takes a team to make that happen. And they're just amazing. And we had like this week alone, I think 300 to 350 to 400 people attend, according to our numbers, the ice skating rink just to come skate. Just it's amazing. And we do keep track of our waivers, so we can go back and look at our stats and see those zip codes, where they're coming from, how many are out of town, how many are local. So that's a really great tool to have.
Yes,
Mhm.
I have tested it out. I even skated backwards on
You did?
and it's really fun. Really good. Larry went and now is in a boot, right?
Do you have St. Patty's Day all nailed down?
We have talks of St. Patty's Day.
Well, I mean, if I could submit, instead of a wine walk, like a whiskey walk or
Okay.
A beer
a
session.
Guinness grind
Beer.
or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we will have some
Barb
things.
offered up on Sunday, what was it, bourbon, Bibles and. Yeah, Bibles and bourbon on Sundays.
There you go. So I will, that is that weekend. And so my 50th birthday is St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Mhm.
And so that's why I'm like, what are you gonna plan? What are you gonna plan? I'll have all these people come.
And it does, yeah, fall on our rotation for our sip and stroll, which we only do 3 times a year. Monthly is fun, but for North Bend, we've always just done 3 times a year. We don't want to steer too far away from what has been laid out in the past.
Yeah.
And so it happens to be around that time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I envision instead of elves, she'll be hiding little leprechaun and it can be like a whole thing, right?
We might have leprechauns dancing on the street. I don't know. I
You-
mean,
You might have mares dancing on the street. I'm not sure what's gonna happen. Yeah, well, thank you. We can't say it enough. And I know that you also have had a lot of help with these events, from the Parks Department, the Police Department, the Fire Department, and just, all the departments in your
All of
board. So we're so appreciative. We can't wait to see what's next.
well, thank you for letting me share and be a part of this process. So thank you,
Absolutely.
council.
Can't believe that was just in 6 months. That's crazy. Okay. Well, let's see, we have the next item, and real quick before we can go further, is that PowerPoint presentation going to be posted on the city website? Or if other people wanted to see it, as I would love to share some of those before and after
It
photos.
can be, sure.
I think that would be a really great idea to share that. Yeah,
If you send it my way, we'll get it posted.
okay. Number 9 on the agenda was any action, if any, resulting in executive session, and we did not have any action, so we'll move on to the next item. Number 10 is the city administrator's report. You get to follow Stephanie Wilson. How do you feel about that?
I'm gonna keep it real short.
Okay,
I'm gonna say that the city administrator's report is posted on our social media, on our website. We also email it out to all the staff, council, and news media. So go take a look at it. Council, I've copied you. You should have it at your dais. There's a special called joint city county meeting. We'll have North Bend, Coos Bay, and the county there. It will be January 4th, 2023, 5 p.m. It will be held at Coos Bay City Council Chambers, because that's the largest council chambers we come with that could handle that many people in a dais, and also abide by state law. And this will be an integral part of the Coos Bay Estuary Management Plan that we are all involved in. So you have your first special called meeting, and we'll look forward to that. And then she has no clue I'm doing this, but I will tell you that we have received correspondence. At a previous meeting, I believe one of our council members read a very passionate statement about a letter to the editor written by a gentleman by name of Jim Rose. And in that passionate letter to the editor was also a lot of misinformation, disinformation, accusations regarding our Main Street manager and violations of state ethics laws. And so we have received correspondence. They have made a recommendation to the entire board, but it says, my recommendation is your case be dismissed. Please let me know if you intend to attend the meeting. So the recommendation going before the State Ethics Commission is that our Main Street manager violated no laws, no ethics violations. And I would love to see a retraction for the rest of the disinformation, misinformation that was published. I love free speech. I just don't like disinformation, misinformation, and I certainly don't appreciate attacks of my staff that work so hard to move this city forward. So with that, good job, Stephanie.
thank you. Yes. All right. All right, that concludes the city administrator's verbal report. And as he said, it's posted on the website and other places that you can find it online, and we should all have copies of that as well, with all the
Can I ask a
details.
question? So that is the report from up to today? Like, is that that's the last 2 weeks?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
In his
Thank
city administrator's report, he'll be reporting out on what the different departments are doing in the last couple of days.
Thank
Yes. Good question. All right, was there any committees that were reporting tonight? No committee meetings, so I don't see any. All right, we'll go to council comments. Well, first set of council comments for this council, Eric Gleason, Councilor Gleason, you're smiling over here. We'll start with you.
Oh, it's great. Remind me to stop doing that.
No smiling.
No smiling. Well, one, congratulations. welcome aboard. This is going to be an experience. Getting up to speed. It'll be fun, but there'll be times you're like, what did I do? But it's gonna be good. We're excited to have you guys on board. I'm really, welcome back. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't know what you were thinking, but congratulations. It's in the city administrator's report, but on Friday, 16th, the library is having an open house. Neat little thing that they're gonna do, and then at 6 o'clock, they're going to have the North Bend Public Library Readers Theater.
Yeah.
Of a Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And if you would like to come watch me read Jacob Marley.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and Scrooge's nephew, Fred. There's a cool group of folks. A lot of us from Lebowski, Prince of Ninepins, that was at the Liberty Theater a few months back. So if you saw it, we're a little out unhinged anyway, but we read through it on Sunday at the library, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you get a chance to come down and support the library on Friday, you should definitely come down and do it. There will be snacks and refreshments. So you got spit takes, all sorts of good stuff. But, Stephanie, well done. You've been a real force the last 6 months, so it's been awesome to watch you work. Congratulations on everything. That's all I got.
Okay. Counselor Gall, let's show him how council comments are done.
I gotta read no Bob Marley stories or anything.
Bob Marley did great.
Anyway, I don't have much. Welcome aboard. Merry Christmas, I guess. In a lot of ways, I'm hoping it just comes and goes, so everybody has a great time. And I guess the only other comment on David's last deal there, I kind of hope that people in North Bend start getting the vibe that we're not all bad people, and that we don't have to keep calling the ethics committee on everybody. I think our hearts are in doing the right thing here. And, I don't want North Bend to be known as ethics hotspot. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Counselor Nordoff?
I'm just really pleased that the skating rink turned out, because that was a split vote. And I think I can say that Bill Richardson said, hey, let's give the public something to do when they come down for Shore Acres. And it came together amazingly beautifully. And I just credit the staff and everybody's effort that went into it. And I'm really happy to see Grand Circle with the Christmas tree. I think it's really appropriate and beautiful. So,
all right.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
All right, Counselor Schultz. So this is your time for council comments. What would you like to say for your first council comments?
I guess I could say Merry Christmas as well. Again, it's a steep learning curve, and again, just listening and paying attention and being a part of it, it's going to be important. And again, I work at the elementary school, so we've heard a lot about the skating rink and kids being interested in going to skating rink, so that's been very exciting. And so again, I don't know all of the work that was put in, and now I get to see it. And so again, just watching all of the things come together has been really, I can't wait to see more stuff.
Great. Okay. Counselor Carbone, do you have anything? No? All right.
You're up.
Counselor Jones, you can
I
have
think
this
I already
time.
used my 15 minutes.
Yeah.
This is really terrific, and I really look forward to working with this group for, these complex decisions that we have to make that are usually in the absence of information we really want. It's a strategic thing. Anyway, thank you. I hope my questions don't annoy everybody too much.
We appreciate your thoroughness. All right. So I want to, first of all, the first thing that I want to say is congratulations to our city recorder. She is a newlywed. So Macy and Officer Jared Janig just got married. What now? Has it been a few weeks ago or a month?
It's been a month now.
A month. Congratulations. I was really hoping they would get married here in the council chambers and I could preside over them. We'll do that for your first anniversary. So love it, the city of North Bend. So congratulations. We're very happy for you.
Thank you.
I also wanted to let everybody know it's been really busy. The college is on break, but I haven't skipped a beat. There's been lots going on. I just celebrated 1 year of being on the board for the League of Oregon Cities. It's a 3-year term. And so I was up in Salem. I think that's where I was at, Salem, for the board meeting. And it's really a great opportunity to work with other counselors and mayors around the state. I am also on a task force for the Oregon Mayors Association. We are lobbying the new governor for, and just the legislators for money to deal with some of the unfunded mandates that are coming down on us about the homelessness. And so that's really great work. So I'll keep you posted on that. I also stopped in on the I took a picture of it so I could remember how to say the name. It's Ocatech, and it's the Oregon Coast Artesian Trade Education Collective. So this is a trade collective that Rick Stillwagon from Stillwagon Distilleries has started, and they had a board meeting today. This is out at the old Charleston School, where they're just working with really, I think when people say like, what's your target age group? It is kids, but he's like anybody who's breathing is where he wants people to be involved. And he was having a board meeting today, so they had asked me to stop by. They're doing really some neat things out there to get, just to really, to just show kids that there's all sorts of options for careers. And they do a lot of neat things with sustainable resources. So one of the presentations today was about learn and play through garden design. And I was really interested in hearing the person speak about their mission is to design gardens and play equipment that's fun, educational, natural, and innovative. And the person who was speaking, I'd known her through the college, who worked in the biology department, was talking about research, which I don't think you'll find this surprising, but the research shows that soil is healing. It really is healing. And this is why people garden and they feel good when they're outside. And so they are going to be looking at places around the community to look at interactive gardens. And it talks about how outdoor spaces can be designed as emotionally stabilizing and mentally stimulating environments for youth and all in their communities. So I thought that was really interesting. And if time permits, in the next coming months, I'd like to hear a presentation at maybe a work session about this and how our communities can partner. So, and the last for my council comments, I mean, just really, my heart is like melting that the counselors and the mayor from Coos Bay came over and gave us Christmas cookies, and just really wants to continue that partnership. So I hope they know that how much we really appreciate it. And I'll take volunteers and we can maybe do some thank you baking for them. And when we see them in our January meeting, or maybe I'll just buy them a box of chocolates and then everybody will be happy, right? We can keep it at that. Okay, we can put something together. Yeah. Oh, we can give them some smoked meat. That's not a bad idea. All right, that was the end of my council comments. And so I will move on. Did we have anything in other business? No, nothing in other business. We do have a urban renewal meeting. So I am going to go ahead and I'm looking to my city recorder, make sure I'm going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting and then move into urban renewal agency. Okay, so the council meeting is now adjourned. Do we need to take a 2-minute bio break? Okay. Recess. Well, we've already recessed. 2 minutes and 30 seconds before we start the urban renewal. Mr. City Administrator, are you ready to go into urban renewal yet?
I am.
Okay, perfect. Okay, all right. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the North Bend Urban Renewal Agency meeting for Tuesday, December 13th. After calling the meeting to order, I'd like a motion to approve the URA minutes from November 8th.
Move to approve the URA minutes from the November 8th, 2022 meeting.
All right, I heard a first from Counselor Gleason and a second from Counselor Garboden. Is there any discussion on the draft November 8th, 2022 urban renewal minutes? All in favor of the motion on the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Number 3 is the congressionally directed spending for redevelopment of former Coos County Annex. This is on page 3 of our packet. In the work session last night, we did hear from our city administrator. Is there a motion from the Urban Renewal Agency? Urban Renewal Board.
Move to allocate $60,000 of redevelopment funds toward an engagement with Warwick Group Consultants to secure federal funding to repurpose the county annex into middle income housing to support the workforce in North Bend and surrounding areas.
Okay, I heard it first from Counselor Gleason. Is there a second? Second from second from,
He said it first.
okay, Counselor.
Whatever.
Yeah. Or not counselor. I heard it. What are we? We're board directors,
Commissioners.
commissioners. First from Urban Renewal Commissioner Gleason, second from Urban Commissioner Gordon.
Oh, we are running. Okay.
Is we had a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all right, then all in favor to allocate $60,000 for redevelopment funds toward an engagement with Warwick Group Consultants to secure federal funding to repurpose the county annex into middle income housing to support the workforce in North Bend and surrounding areas, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Motion
That's
approved.
great. That is such a great.
Yeah.
move.
Very good. Okay, so that was 3. All right, number 4 is the executive director's report.
2 things. One, the Wildflower has submitted their closeout for the redevelopment grant. So we're reviewing that and then we'll sign it off for finance to actually do the grant payout. So that's good news that that's all done. Second is this is actually in my error. You're to have an organizational component to this meeting, so you might want to amend your agenda because you actually have to vote on who your chair and vice chair
right.
is because you're your own agency. We did that previously with the city council. We have not done that with your URA, and since this is the first board, you'll have to do so accordingly. That
I
concludes
move
my
that-
report.
I move that we keep fairly consistent with our other body and have Jessica Engelberg be the director and Larry Garboden be the assistant director, or whatever, chair.
Whatever do to you.
Second, yeah.
I heard a first from Counselor Gall, or a motion from Counselor Gall. Is there a first from
Second.
Edwin, whatever?
Second.
First from Counselor or Commissioner.
First.
He made the motion, yes, first second. Apparently, I don't work after 8:30 in the evening.
This is why
Get that,
Larry was
Macy?
trying to get at it.
Yeah, and Commissioner Garboden, do you expect the responsibility set before you?
Sure, why not?
Any other further
Thank you.
discussion?
The pressure's on there.
I know.
All in favor of the motion on the table, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that reminder for the amendment to the agenda. Was there anything else in the executive director's report?
No,
You said no?
no.
Okay. This evening, was there any public comment for Urban Renewal Agency? No. Okay, then we will go ahead and move into executive session for the URA at this time. And the City of North Bend Council will meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192-6602E, which allows the council to meet in executive session to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session, and at the end of an executive